Well, welcome everybody, and welcome to the Department of Housing and Community Development in the Great Ward 8 in the beautiful historic Anacostia. I'm pleased to be here today with the Ward 8 Council Member LaRuby May. Ms. May is here in the front, as well as the DHCD Director, Polly Donaldson, and thank you for hosting us, Polly. And the DCRA Director, Melinda Bolling. Give Melinda Bolling a big round of applause. So today we're here to announce a new $3 million pilot program that is focused on preserving affordable housing in Washington, D.C. As you know, one of the top priorities of our administration has been to produce and preserve and protect affordable housing in the district so that families can afford to live in this great city. I pledged that every year I would make sure the Housing Production Trust Fund had $100 million to help us in that goal. In the first year, we made up a $45 million difference in what was raised for the Housing Production Trust Fund in my first budget. And this year, I think we made up an equal amount in the second budget that the council just approved. So we have 2 years of $100 million of funding, and we're going to work each and every year to make sure we can continue to make that happen. We also started the Housing Preservation Strike Force that Polly chairs and has a wonderful and diverse group of Washingtonians who come to the table to try to help us figure out how we're going to preserve the great affordable housing that already exist in Washington, D.C. Too often we talk about how we're going to create new units, and we don't spend enough attention talking about preserving the units that we have. And so I look forward to getting the recommendations from the strike force, but one issue we thought could not wait, and that is how we address small properties, small multi-unit properties that are in failing condition or without the proper interventions will be in failing conditions. So we want to work with property owners who want to work with us, who are doing the right things by their tenants and who are in good standing with the government to provide loans to them so they can make necessary repairs to their units. We've started already here in Ward 8. Director Bolling's office is responsible for doing some building-wide inspections. After talking to the community and hearing from the various agencies, Director Bolling will decide when a building-wide inspection is needed. Later in the summer, Director Donaldson's office will put up an application for small multi-family property owners who have had one of these inspections, and we know that they can benefit from a loan that they will pay back to the Housing Production Trust Fund. DHCD will offer loans up to $25,000 per unit for up to 10 units in one building. And so that will do a big thing to preserve affordable housing in the District of Columbia. We will screen applicants on the front end, and we will make sure we can continue building on the good work of DCRA and its proactive inspections program so that we are targeting buildings before they get in significant disrepair so that we can help small property owners who want to do the right things by their tenants, and we can be a part of the solution in preserving affordable housing. So I want to also thank Councilmember May, who has been very focused on making sure that Ward 8 tenants have a voice and that the agencies are being responsive to the needs of Ward 8 residents. And we are very excited to launch and to start this pilot program right here in Ward 8. Councilmember May.
Good morning. Good morning. So let me first thank the mayor and the directors from the agencies for all their hard work. So As the mayor stated, I've been working really aggressively to make sure that we have, looking at two major issues in Ward 8, getting rid of slumlords and then preventing the...
Hold this down for you, Ms. May.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm not quite as tall as you. They're a little taller in Ward 4 than they are in Ward 8. Thank you. So wanting to look at making sure that we get rid of slumlords, but that at the same time, we're making sure that we provide quality, safe housing for the residents in Ward 8. And so I'm very thankful for this program, as this program will do something that is very important, and that is prevention of us having to go in and to condemn a building. Because what we know when we go in and condemn a building, that we're in a very difficult situation because we don't want residents living in those conditions, but then we're trying to find a place for those residents to go. So this program going in and not just responding to one resident who has an issue in a building, but being able to go in and do an inspection of the entire building. And we're going to make sure we're working with the agency to encourage our residents to let the agency in to do the inspections so that we're able to look and see exactly how it is that we can make sure that the residents in Ward 8 and across the city, but very specifically in Ward 8, that have healthy living options, and that the landlord, who is a good actor, has an opportunity to participate. And I think one of the things I'm really grateful, Mayor, in this program is that once the landlord takes this money and provides a healthy environment and a safe environment for our residents, that there is a 40-year covenant of affordability on the unit. So again, it ensures to our residents here in Ward 8 that that unit will continue to not only be housing that, not affordable housing, but housing that residents in Ward 8 can afford. So I look forward to partnering with each agency and the mayor on making sure that this program is successful. Thank you.
Thank you. I neglected to say how we should refer to this pilot, and it is going to be called Great Spaces, Healthy Places. The research suggests to us that when people are safe at home and in adequate housing conditions, they also have improved health outcomes. So what we're doing affects the long-term health of our residents. It will also affect how well our children do at school. And so a focus on making sure we have healthy environments at home is very important. So now let me turn to the directors for some quick statements about how excited they are, and we'll take a few questions. Polly.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you. I also am challenged. I want to say thank you. It's really great. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. There you are. And Councilmember May and Director Bolling. And what I think is really important about what we're doing, this is interagency collaboration where we're taking the resources of DCRA and the resources of DHCD to put together something, a pilot program that we think is really going to have direct impact on some of the, what we call naturally affordable housing here in Ward 8 that we want to keep affordable. And we want the conditions to be clear and safe and healthy for the families that are living there. So we pledge here at DHCD to work expeditiously to get the funds needed for this to happen. We're using the Housing Production Trust Fund, which we know the investments that the mayor has made in that fund exactly for these kinds of programs. So we look forward to working together and making this happen. Thank you.
And Director Bolling, I think you all know she has a big portfolio of work at the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. She touches just about every aspect of commerce in the District of Columbia, but she also has a lot to say about residential living in D.C., from the issues that we have in rental housing all the way up to how people are adding additions to their homes. So she touches every business and just about every resident. Director Bolling.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, Councilmember May, Director Donaldson. DCRA is very excited to work on this pilot. We've had the opportunity to look at different ways to preserve affordable housing here in the district and starting here in Ward 8. And DCRA, with our proactive program, we're using this pilot to work on building-wide. The difference is with proactive, we look at a percentage of the units in each building. Here is an opportunity to look at each and every unit to make sure that we can get a complete inventory of all the renovations that need to happen with the money that Polly's agency is going to be loaning. So we look forward to working with you. We look forward to referrals. So between your ANCs, yourself, other community leaders, please get that information to us so that we can do a robust pilot this first year. Thank you.
Okay, and I know we have members of the press who are here, and I am happy to answer your questions, first on topic and then whatever else you have. Mr. Seagraves?
Mayor Bowser, first just some housekeeping. What would the interest rate be on repaying the loans? What are the terms of the loan? Sure. And then how much money do you have as a universe to go out?
We're starting with the pilot, which we expect to take us to the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th, and it's $3 million. And so we're going to tap some Housing Production Trust Fund monies and possibly some community development block grant monies. But let me turn to Polly to talk about terms.
Sure. Most of our loans are very low interest loans, ranging from about 0 to 3%, and the repayment schedule is done as part of the loan agreement, and usually is deferred at first, but then is completed, and it's together with the 40-year covenant. So it's that's part of the loan agreement paperwork that is done, and is part of the terms of the loan.
So what determines the range between 0 and 3%?
I'd have to get back to you on the specifics of that, but I think that it depends in part on population being served and the terms of that.
Okay, not so much the credit worthiness of the applicant?
Well, all of our loans go through underwriting that do look at the credit worthiness and the compliance and the other needs of the responsibilities for accepting public monies for the work that's going to be happening.
And I don't, maybe you're best to answer this next question. So how do you ensure that, I mean, is this available just to people who own one building, or is it, a developer who might own multiple buildings be able to apply for this?
Well, the terms that we're starting with, the limits on the funds are by unit and by building, but I don't know that we're going to restrict a person who owns multiple buildings. The idea is to touch as many residents as possible, and we do have multiple building owners across the city.
Because it seems like a developer, someone who is otherwise has the money to do it, who owns several buildings. I mean, we look up, in Congress Heights, what's going on across from the metro up there. People who have a lot of money, would they be able, people who don't necessarily need a low-interest loan be able to qualify for this?
Our point is, Mark, and as you asked a couple of questions, with multi-building, I would guess that multiple building owners would be eligible, but we'll make that clear in the requirements that we send out. In the program, you will recall that I said that a applicant would have to be in good standing with the district. And so it is, while we get very frustrated by the scofflaws in the world, this program is really not set up for the scofflaws. It's set up for the small property owner who's operating on the margins. And so what we're finding is a lot of improvements aren't being made to properties because the property owners are operating on the margins. And so our residents suffer as a result. And so this is really set up for that small property owner.
And I have two more, I promise, only two
Sure.
more. So Councilmember May, I think, said something about ensuring that these properties then remain affordable. So what is there
There will be a covenant attached to the loan, similar to what we do with a lot of the loans that come out of the Housing Production Trust
How
Fund.
would that look? What would would it be similar to rent control, or how?
No, it's not. It's saying that if you receive Housing Production Trust Fund dollars as part of your development or rehabilitation project, that you are agreeing to keep the units at a affordable level and with the residents that are there. So that depends on what the income level of the residents is, and then what the current rents are as well. And that gets established.
And that would protect the residents if they had to move out for repairs to be able to move back in
Oh, absolutely.
as
Relocation is a part of every one of the agreements in terms of that. Arrangements for relocation and return will be part of every agreement.
And then I think for Director Bolling, I'm wondering how this might help with the problem of illegal apartments. I know you have spoken to my colleague at Channel 4 recently about the problem with identifying illegal apartments. And then, so would this help to convert illegal apartments into legal apartments if there are owners of these buildings who are illegal simply because it would be too daunting to afford the money to do the repairs, to bring them into compliance, that they could then get a permit? Does that make sense? Well, apartments that are not that don't have the proper occupancy permit to rent as apartments, but they do anyway. We had the tragic death of the college students that were caught in the fire somewhat.
I think how we locate those is often from the communities themselves. Where we will likely get referrals from this, we'll get referrals from the community. So I don't know that it will be a particular way for us to identify an illegal basement rental with this pilot. Okay, is that it? Thank you, everybody. Hopefully we'll get some light soon.